The views expressed on this show do not represent those of NTV or its staff.
Thank you for watching NTV, and this is your popular program, NTV People's Parliament, this time sitting in Bunyoro in Hoima district. And we are going to discuss yet another important topic, that is land. And the topic is, can Uganda's land support its prosperity drive? We were in Gulu, and now we are in Hoima, still searching for the grail. Honorable members of Hoima district, you are welcome to NTV People's Parliament. I am called Akik Agnes Nandutu, sitting in here. Honorable members, the latest effort by the government of Uganda to directly transform the lives of the people is Operation Wealth Creation, aimed at improving household income. The target activities like agriculture and livestock development have to be executed on land. The 6th edition of the Uganda's Economic Update, published by the World Bank, titled Searching for the Grail, Can Uganda's Land Support Its Prosperity Drive? Can Hoima land support its prosperity drive? That is what we are discussing, honorable members. But before we go into the main debate, we are going to have an expert from World Bank to take us through on how we should utilize our land for prosperity. Please take up this.
Madam Speaker, honorable members, I would like to share with you how happy I am to be a Ugandan. Uganda, the power of Africa. We are endowed with a lot of resources, such that anything, be a seed, if you throw it on the road, it will grow, and you get food to eat, you get fruits to eat. However, despite being well endowed with natural resources, Uganda is afflicted by poverty. And why? Part of the problem is the way land is managed. And I would like to take you through 4 points to highlight what is wrong, so that on the basis of that, as honorable members, we can come up with a solution which would make Uganda a prosperous country. First, agriculture. Only 70% of Uganda's land is used, and it's used unproductively. In fact, achieving only 1/3 of the potential yields. If land could be managed better, we would be able to basically boost agriculture to become food secure and prosperous. Second, non-agricultural enterprises are very unproductive. Why? Because investors rely only on savings. They cannot go to a bank and get credit because only 20% of Uganda's land is registered. And yet, banks in Uganda, according to our research by experts, 86% of their loans go to people with collateral. So if you have no land title, no loans. And that's why our non-agricultural enterprises are very unproductive. Thirdly, our cities and towns are poorly planned, inefficient. In fact, Kampala is a large slum. If we can improve planning and we use land efficiently in urban areas, where about 2/3 of growth of the economy comes from, would become a very prosperous country. In terms of infrastructure development, our country is investing heavily in power, highways, dams, refineries, and so on. However, investments are being held back because of wrangles over land acquisition and compensation. If we can sort out land acquisition and compensation problems, these investments would help boost economic growth and the world be prosperous. Ladies and gentlemen, the honorable members, I would like you to work with me so that we can come up with an effective debate of these issues and at the end of it, come up with an action plan which our country should take to implement so that we become a prosperous country.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much,
That's
an expert view. And we also want to hear from government. What are the plans that they have in place, or what have they done? Can I have somebody from government, please?
Madam Speaker, I'm called Dennis Obo from the Ministry of Land, Housing and Urban Development Constituency. The ministry knows that there are actually about 5 or 6 problems that are causing low productivity. And we are hoping that if we address these problems, we should be able to turn the tables and have a productive population in this country, Uganda. What are these 5 problems? One is the problem of land semi-security. People are always living under threat of evictions, being evicted. People don't have papers, legal documentation to show ownership, and then they claim that they have been on this land for so long. The entities that they say own this land are not also legally registered. So this, together with the lack of inadequate public awareness on the rights and obligations of the landowners, causes a very big problem. People do not know what to do to get papers. They don't know what procedures to follow, what is to pay. So people need actually to be given a lot of information on this. There is also another problem of the time it's actually taking to have these transactions done. Previously, it has been taking 3 to 4 years, and this has discouraged landowners. We are hoping if we can address this, put in place systems where owners can get papers in the shortest possible time, then people should be able to be confident enough to have papers that will show ownership in the shortest possible time. Lastly, there are those people who claim to be landowners on customary land. These people have a social obligation of making sure that their land is actually registered, recorded, certified, and they should also have that obligation of making sure that they use this land to be more productive. If we can do this, we register the land and bring it and people use it, then we should be able to have solutions to the search for the grave. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. I think you have heard from the experts, the people of Hoima, about Hoima. How can Uganda's land support its prosperity drive?
Yes, Uganda has the capacity and the potential to sustain its prosperity drive. But some few fundamental questions must be answered, because there are some new challenges, new opportunities, and these require new changes in political leadership and even the whole attitude of the people. One man said that you cannot put old wine in a new wine in an old wine skin, lest it bursts. Tighten your belts. The worst is yet to come in terms of conflict. If some issues are
you a prophet of doom, honorable member?
No problem. Just tighten your belt. And here is a prophet for change. I'm Beraher Joffre, representing Hoima municipality, and you will soon watch me in the Ugandan parliament. What I'm saying, there are fundamental issues that must be addressed. One, recognize that land is already owned by some people. 2, recognize that this is a mixed economy, but our people don't know how the economy operates. I want you to understand that Uganda is operating on a deficit budget. World Bank officials, elites, intellectuals, go to the ground. Actually, I'm from the ground. I have both the connection of the peasant and the intellectual class. Honorable members, the issue of land is multidimensional. That's why you have to go into different areas. One, I have a report from the World Bank, and one person was suggesting that we need to tax idle land. That's why I said, Honorable Speaker and members, if you're going to taxing land without addressing fundamental problems and making sure that the peasants are aware of how they belong to a mixed economy, tighten your belt.
Article 237 of the Constitution clearly stipulates
that land in Uganda belongs to the citizens of Uganda, not to every Ugandan. The wrangles and conflicts you are seeing are orchestrated by the illegal influx. Now, unless and only when we manage that, tame that, we cannot achieve this prosperity. That's point number one. The second point is that as we go into this, land can only be claimed by the activity on the ground. How can we prepare people to engage in meaningful production, where, example, we institutionalize the institutions of production like we had cooperatives. In the past, we had cooperative farming, where people could market and get farm inputs together. And the expansion of that production could create the sense of ownership and the zeal to work together. And then government would come in for improving marketing. So the challenge here is that as we focus on land, we also need to look at other factors that affect production. When people move into produce in large quantities, they will have the zeal to work on the land, and then we shall increase our productivity.
Okay, honorable member, lastly,
I wanted to comment on the processing of the land. Uganda has had very good policies, which other countries have copied. But the challenge is on those people who take up offices, and especially in this case, the technocrats, not the politicians, because they are the ones who implement these policies. But when in amidst that way, you find that the implementation doesn't go smooth the way it is planned.
The officials from Ministry of Lands, you'll recall in 1995, it is 20 years down the road, laws were made on 4 tenures of land. That is to say, Myro land, freehold, lease, and customary land. But 20 years down the road, the Ministry of Land has never come out with a certificate of customary ownership. Was that politically to blindfold the Ugandans? That is also a tenure of land ownership. And what security does it give to the peasants of Bunyoro who 100% own their land communally? So I would want to get an answer from the ministry. Why I'm saying that, here, as I work with Afford Africa, we try to help people process land titles. But when you look at the land title called freehold, a plot of 50 by 100 will cost a peasant a minimum of 2.5 million. And yet, a peasant would have paid only 5,000 shillings to acquire a certificate of title of customary land ownership. Now, where is the problem? Okay. I think the problem is government is so much interested in revenue than having the people's land registered. That's how I view it.
Okay, honorable member, you'll be given another opportunity, please.
Thank you.
When you want to tax idle land, first make use of it. Let the people be helped to make use of their land before it is taxed. Let the make use of land come first. Secondly, if the committees, which are legal committees, are going to be selected to work on the land, let there be a representative from the people. Because we have been seeing so many committees connive with big people, connive with those ones who are rich, and more especially the mode of selection is political oriented. So you find the poor people lying idle. Thirdly, Bunyoro has got a very big problem whereby our land was taken by the Baganda. You know the story. And these people were being supported by the British. Now the Bunyoro have been fighting hard to see this land come back to their hands. But before they come to that, then immigrants are ferried in and they sit on the land. Now government is saying it is going to buy out these land titles and to give them to immigrants. You see how the Bunyoro have been left without any support at all? We are saying that the original owner must be handed the bango first.
Okay.
Lastly, on the issue of surveying our land, we beg that this system must start forthwith. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Let's go for a short break. And when we come back, we are going to hear more from the people of Bunyoro. Welcome back. You are still watching NTV People's Parliament, seated here in Hoima District, Kolping Hotel, discussing issues of land.
Madam Speaker, honorable members in the House, my issue is people will believe in me that men, you're running away from your responsibilities. Today it is the women who are providing school fees, food, even rent. And the issue is women, we don't have access to resources. We don't have the right to own land. We don't have, even in Bunyoro, we don't inherit land. And because of that problem, it's hard for us women to get finances from banks because we don't have collateral securities. And if we don't have enough money, how will I develop my agriculture? You'll find I have a small piece of land, I'll grow my rice. After growing my rice, the man will come. My land is mine. He will sell the land, he will go and drink it. And tomorrow...
And marry another wife.
Yeah, tomorrow we have to look for school fees, we have to look for food, and yet we have to save some money. So please, honorable members, and through you, Madam Speaker, can we put women's rights to own land and access resources? And please, men, if I've grown my little dodo, let me be the one to sell it, because I know how I suffered to bring it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable member. The lady has given a very important topic. Please.
We have the World Bank that give money to the government. Government to implement its program to develop its country, to develop its people. This government that has lived for 30 years came with good intervention, and all these are based on agriculture. This is PMA, Plan for Modernization of Agriculture. After that, Entandikwa program in the early 90s. We have NAD, Prospective for All, where the president in 2007 traveled all this country, telling the people how you can utilize the 5 acres of land and get 20 million per year. Now we have Operation Wealth Creation. World Bank are funding this program. What are the success stories? If we are to develop agriculture, zero land, let government invest in rich people. Madam President was presenting here. She said that one person can produce 1,000 tons of maize or groundnuts or beans. But in other countries, but in Uganda is not the case. I personally, when this program came, Wealth Creation, I went to the program coordinator because I had already contacted.
Wind up, honorable member, please.
I had talked to extension worker. He told me, if you want to get money from agriculture, go to the Operation Wealth Creation, tell them to give you tangahuzi. Because I had already told me that in 1 acre of tangahuzi, in one harvest, 1 acre, it is 80 million. So I calculated that was 160 million. When they told me, no, that is not in our program. For us, we are providing beans. If you can take beans, we have 10 kilograms of beans. I took them. On that same season, as I talk now, I have my 10 tons of maize. I did not get any assistance from government or from any individual.
That's good effort, honorable member.
And now I have planted 10. But if we can go and cross-check those people who received the maize from this coordinator, Operation Wealth Creation, they can't even show you 1 kilogram of maize.
This question goes to the government officials. Here in Bunyoro, we are seeing the beneficiaries who are not Bunyoro. For example, is it really in accordance with the provision of the law to ferry people from a different region to another region, bringing them here in Bunyoro, such that they also benefit from Bunyoro?
An official from the Land Ministry reiterated how the department is ready and is working tirelessly to see that land titles are issued within the shortest time possible. But I want to tell you the hell which we undergo through the Ministry of Lands to get a title, it is unspeakable. Those people in the ministry look at you as they gaze, as they talk on phone, as they rotate on those chairs, without taking care of people who come from far to actually process land titles within the shortest time possible. There is a deliberate action by the government to to make us more poor, especially the Banyoro. It is not very difficult for the government to buy a tractor for each sub-county in Uganda, so that the poor citizens can pay a little money for fuel, so that they take the tractor and use it to cultivate land, so that the multiplication of the production is high. So government is aware of that, but it is a deliberate action. See the seeds, as a colleague Honorable was saying, you plant seeds of wealth creation, they die, or when you put in our common seeds, they will die at the same time. So the land now becomes infertile. You can't plant there any other thing. Why tax the undeveloped land? People should ask themselves, why do we have land which is not developed? It is because the unequitable resources and the inability to have enough funds to develop that land. That's why it is there. Now, the government is coming to tax that land. Why? Maybe it is an intention to get other rich people to come and take that vacant land which is not developed, and so that they can tax from that rich person.
But we should look at land ownership by the citizens. The indigenous Banyoro should own land. We have had a very big problem. Ministry of Lands pronouncing itself that in the Albertine Graben, nobody should produce a land title. And yet, the immigrants are producing land titles. And what surprises me is our own land board, our own district land board, is always producing land titles for the non-Banyoro, and they refuse for the Banyoros to produce land titles.
Minister of Lands, is that a truth? Is that a fact on the ground? Please, can you clarify? Can you clarify, Minister of Lands, please, on this point?
This is a very serious issue. The issue of ownership is usually one where if you are an indigenous owner and you have been on that land, then you are actually entitled to get a title. There's a whole procedure. What has happened is that in between, some of our land administration institutions, where the process begins, and this is our area land, the area land committees, who are actually the eyes of the board which approves these applications, have sometimes erred and given them wrong information. So on that basis, some titles may have irregularly been issued. It is a case that we are looking at. Investigations are going on, and if titles are found to have been issued irregularly, they will actually be impeached.
But are the people of Bunyoro getting titles from their land? Are you?
The people of Bunyoro have a right to get titles. They have, and they have to do it by following the procedure that begins at the sub-county, where they fill forms, take the sub-county for verification. Then the papers move up to the district. From the district, they are forwarded to us. So if they are not doing it, then I think it's high time you actually get to know what the procedure is, follow it, and get the titles.
Let me hope he has given good explanation
yes,
to you,
Madam Speaker, thank you.
Go ahead.
I think that is a very contentious issue, Madam Speaker. We might even spend the whole day discussing the Bunyoro land issues, because I have a feeling that sometimes we are marginalized. It's like we are promoting neo-colonialism because we are marginalized by the colonialists. And when Ruth Mukama was sent to Hoima, to Bunyoro sub-region, to do an investigation on land issues, the report is sat on. Nobody seemed to care about the Ruth Mukama recommendations. Nobody seemed to understand that Bunyoro has a very big issue because of the discovery of oil and gas. Everybody is rushing to Hoima to get land.
I processed my land title. I started 2007. I got the land title 2014.
How many?
But there were some people from Rwanda whom I used to meet in the land office. In 2 weeks, they have the land title.
Is it because you didn't have the money to give to land officials?
I had the money, yes. But because I am a Munyoro, they want those people with the big money, big baskets. One time I went down with a Munyarwanda boy in a car. He started showing me the mountains down as you go to Kais. That lad is mine. I was surprised how did this younger boy come here to get the land when Asimwe and the other businessman does not have a land title? And we old people, what are you going to do for us? We need our land. We need to educate our children, and our land is being taken. When you go down, people are crying because of the funeral. They are there standing idle. They don't have food. They don't have anything. They are taking our land anyhow.
Thank you.
We are having a problem.
Thank you for the people of Hoima to prosper using their land, please. May government process for them land titles.
We must also have a comprehensive urban and country plan, fiscal plan, for the whole land, entire land in Uganda, so that we can know which area is for what. Otherwise, we shall continue with the land fragmentation, people pitching up things here and there are not being productive. Then we also need to process land ownership and make sure that there is affirmative action, especially for those people who are marginalized in terms of getting land titles. It must be comprehensive for all in the whole region so that we have the whole region surveyed and people get titles. Then they are free to sell if they say, because they will be selling value other than selling what they are selling now, which has literally no value. Finally, I would like to propose that the justification for someone to retain land must be residence and production. People must be helped and assisted to produce. I do not subscribe to the idea of saying only the rich should be given the opportunity to own land. We shall groom restlessness, and there will be genocide in this country if we do that.
Okay,
we must encourage everybody to have land and to use it.
Uganda, we have got so good policies. When you read them, so good programs, when you read them, you get assured the next day we are prosperous. But they don't. You did not understand me by political will. The Uganda we are today in, its state of confusion is by design. I'm telling you, it is by design. Because now, if it is not by design, compare NADIS, compare wealth creation and cooperatives. People don't go to the real problem. Whatever you will design, it will not work out. Since the colonial time, our land has been subjected to grabbing.
The people of Hoima are speaking on how land can support the country's prosperity drive. Let's go for a short break, and when we come back, we are going to discuss a way forward on how government and the people should work together to ensure that our land supports our prosperity drive. Welcome back. You are still watching NTV People's Parliament, sitting here at Kolping Hotel in Hoima District, discussing the land question. What are the solutions now? How can we move forward?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have issues of leadership in Hoima. These land boards are put in the Bunyoro region, are put in place by leadership in the Bunyoro region. I've not seen the leaders calling back the people they have nominated to those boards. So you can't talk about people getting other titles, yet the leaders in the district in the Bunyoro are the one proposing the members of the land board to the district boards. So we have a problem. Even here in the municipality, how Worship the Mayor here proposed the name to the district as a member from the municipality to the land board. And I believe the district as well proposed other members on the land board. So once people are being denied those titles, the process starts down from here and it goes to the national level. Not so? How much are we putting in agriculture, for example? I was seeing the recent budget for the national budget. It's about 4% of the whole. It's about 3%, and you want people to be productive. This, according to the statistics here, it showed 76% are into agriculture, but you have 3% of the national budget into only supporting agriculture. So do you expect rocket science that people are going to to be productive on 3%, we need an agricultural bank. We need to have better yields which people can plant. We need to help people in many things, tractors and ABCD. So these are many issues which come from the leadership. So we need to know the people we are putting leadership as well. They must be knowing what the people want.
We must let leaders who are the voice of the people. A case in mind, like for a situation that if there was a situation that Bunyoro region, they told them not to process titles. This was at the time for the political leaders, most the political heads, to come out, at least in the Bunyoro region, to say why are people suffering this situation.
Those who have done mathematics, you can never get the final correct answer if the format you have been using is wrong. So there must be something which should be done first in the right way so that the results can be okay. I was in 2010 in Changwali where a kilogram of maize was going at 100 shillings. But the input for someone to come and dig your house, I mean to dig your garden, they were taking much more money. So that you find someone has, let me say, 5 bags of maize, that would be over 100 kilograms. That would be 50,000 according to the price. But the person put in more money, like in terms of, let me say, like 100,000. So what's being done? Someone is trying his best, but the government is not coming up to put in place something which will help. So we need the way forward. Cooperatives which used to work for the people, as we've been seeing the example of Bugishu Cooperative Union, students are studying and the cooperatives are helping them.
Government should scrap off the fees that the poor people are paying in as far as being given the land titles are concerned in form of an affirmative action in Bunyoro.
There should be information flow about getting land titles, right down the people, the local people. Secondly, the cost of getting land titles should be reduced for the local people and the poor people. Priority of the land should be given to indigenous landowners. And lastly, corruption should be addressed in offices of land titles. Thank you.
Thank you. The Minister of Lands, you have heard corruption should be reduced. Please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. If our land can support prosperity for all, let us stop politicizing the government programs that come on board. The more politics we put in these programs, the worse we receive. So, politicians, please stop politicizing.
Can you give an example of the politicized program?
The NADS program.
We should have the right people in right offices, not having UPDF soldiers to come and take over work of agriculture extension people who are supposed to be giving advice to farmers.
But we have heard the soldiers in the office are doing better than the previous ones of NAD.
No, what could be the work? What could be the work of agriculture extension farmers who are graduating every now and then? That's their work.
When it comes to compensation, especially in situations where government has acquired land, in situations where government, for example, is putting up an infrastructure, the compensation should be adequate and prompt. Because for situations of Hoima, we have already witnessed a situation where people were not paid promptly and adequately on Hoima Kaisotonya Road. We need to change the land tenure system in this country. Because we have situations where some people own big chunks of land at the expense of the majority who stay in fragmented land. We need to change and overhaul the land tenure system so that people can be able to own land in a different way.
Okay.
Finally, Madam Speaker, possibly we could also introduce the communes like those in China, where people could be settled in one place, leaving the other vast areas of land to be carried out for agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please have the podium.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. There is a problem of attitude. There is no positive thinking by the users of land. And this is a very big problem to people who are living in Bunyoro. Despite the challenges, there is still a problem of positive thinking. People knowing that they can develop themselves, having that positive thinking in whatever they are doing, so that they can enlarge their farms, whatever they are doing. a solution. There is need for serious sensitization of the land users so that they can know how to use the land. Another suggestion or way forward, there is need for testing the lands so that people can be properly guided on what should be done in a specific area.
As a ministry, we intend to implement fully the Land Act. We are in the process of actually printing out guidelines for land use planning under support from UNDP, and this should help us in a way of rationalizing how land is to be used, what should be used where, and how we should minimize conflicts between cattle keepers, for example, and cultivators. We are in the process of systematically demarcating all the land in the country, especially in the north and
with all this support from UNDP, World Bank,
from the World Bank, from the World Bank.
How long will you take in doing this, please?
We are supposed to take the shortest possible time. We are not going. Yes, yes. And I want to emphasize this. I want to emphasize this. Initially, we used to use very expensive, long time systems which would take very long time. We now intend to use what we call tablet computers, which can be used by ordinary people to demarcate their plots and to quickly get their certificates issued. In issuing land titles, we now want to emphasize land use. The combination between land use and land ownership, that the owner should be the user. And we are particularly looking at part 3 of certificates of titles. If you look at the format, there is what we call conditions, restrictions, and limitations. Now, these conditions, restrictions, and limitations are supposed to guide communities on how best they can use the land. After we have done land use planning, then we'll say if it's for grazing, we'll then guide you as to the number of cattle you can keep on your land so that you don't overgraze. Okay, then maybe quickly, we are opening up MZOs, Ministry Zonal Offices in for example, Kibale and Masindi, for those of in the sub-region. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, I've heard all the views of the members of this House, and I'm coming up with a 5-point program to be implemented over 5 years to make Uganda very prosperous. Point number 1, to accelerate registration of individual-owned land so that the ratio of registered land can increase from 20% to 70%, like Rwanda has done, and to do it cost-effectively so that everyone can get a title instead of waiting for 7 years. Point number 2, to organize all the land-owning groups from families to clans, chiefdoms, so that they can be registered as legal entities and to have their land surveyed and registered like Mexico did over a 5-year period. Point number 3, to strengthen land institutions, including Ministry of Lands, including the judiciary, so that land disputes can be resolved quickly, so that with computerization, land transactions can take place quickly with zero corruption. Number 4, to redesign the land fund intended to address the historical injustices, so that those who have been waiting in the Chibale district and in the Buganda region can efficiently have their land, can efficiently have the land sharing between the landlords and the bona fide and lawful occupants sorted out in order for the occupants to buy out the residual rights of the landlords so that they can use their land productively and improve their incomes. Point number 5. The government has got many land policies, but implementation has been a problem. So the government needs to focus on critical areas. Point number 1, compensation. They should improve compensation so that people get fair and full compensation for their land when it is being acquired for refineries and for roads. Point number 2, women's land rights. Discrimination against women should become history, so that when married women lose their husbands, they can take over their land. When they are divorced, they can have their rightful share. To address their human rights concerns and also ensure that they contribute most productively. 3, to promote efficient urbanization so that the slums we are seeing around in Gulu, in Kampala, can be eliminated, and to promote efficient growth and sustainable so that people living in urban areas can get jobs and live very decent and healthy lives. Point number 5, to promote rental land markets so that people who are unable to use the land productively can actually lease out the land, enjoy the incomes, while land is being used by those who can use it better in order to promote the economy. Finally, to tax idle land so that people that have got land titles for huge chunks of land and are not using it, to actually pay tax so that it can be used in order to help the poor, and also to force them so that they can rent it out or use it productively.
Remember, thanks for watching NTV People's Parliament. I am aspired to inspire you before I expire. And if power is conferred upon me as the Speaker of People's Parliament, I adjourn this House and
The views expressed on this show do not represent those of NTV or its staff.